Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah. Oh, he's a righteous God, a holy God, a just God, a vindicating God. Amen. Praise him. Okay. You know, in the Bible, and I should have looked that scripture up, but the Bible says that we as saints, Christians, that we are the salt of this earth. And even though the world may persecute you, hate on you, slander you, lie on you, do things and say things that they shouldn't say, hoping that they would hurt you or get rid of you, we're needed. We as saints are needed on this earth. And, with everything that you would have people of the world, they would not be able to really function without us. What kind of world would it be if everybody was just about themselves? If everybody just did for themselves and just did whatever they wanted to do, then there wouldn't be, the homeless would never be looked after. Then you would have women who decide, I'm not having any kids. You know, there would be people who won't show kindness even a little bit. We keep the world going around, and that's what people need to know about the salt of the earth. That if we just had evil and wickedness go about, then our world wouldn't be able to really go around, because we have people who want to just do what they want to do. You know what I mean? They want to do what they want to do. That's what the world is about. And they're saying that we don't need the Messiah's 10 laws and commandments. That we're good on our own. We don't need that, you know. And we do. The world is a little bit, I'll say a little bit, a lot better when you have Christians and saints that truly do live by the word. Because you have those who are demon possessed. Some people, they're just busybodies, and they can't stand to be by themselves. They go running around, and they're over here in this person's face. Then they're running over in that person's face. They just don't, they're scared to be alone. They're scared to be alone because they have to actually face themselves. When you have someone who you are, who you know who you are, and you're doing things in a good sense, you're helping. We have some Christians that go overseas to do things and help some of the less fortunate. God likes to see those things. He loves to see those things, and those are the things that say, you know what? Some things that were going to come about, he can cover us. He can keep us from some of those storms when we start doing, his laws and commandments, that to those who do them, hopefully everybody do them, but to those who do them, God has a sense of, this is what I had, this is why I had passed away for them, the ones who willing to do my will. They don't have to, but they chose to. Something in them chose to, and it's him. The Most High Yahweh is him. And we see that more around the holidays of people doing his law and his commandment, and helping and seeing, you know, are you good? Did you eat? Whatever. It's still people who give some hope to a situation. It's the salt of the earth. And we realize there are good people amongst you. And then there's those that were sent, but then you still make good of them, you know. Because a lot of times, with targeting and gang stalking, you were set up that, in the beginning, they try to pound that in you that nobody's going to help you. The narcissists, they say, you've been stamped as we want you to not have help, that no one's going to help you. No one wants to be around you. That's what they're stamping in your head. They're trying to say that it's better off you leave the earth than to be here. And so when you have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of people harassing you, using satanic gadgets and devices, saying the most evil things or gaslighting you, you know, after a while, you start, if you're not, if you're not in with the Most High, you'll start to believe some of those things that's been said, and that's what they try to do. They'll try to make it look like that you're being watched all the time, and all they need to do is just to get you to see it. That's why they want you to look. That's why they color code, because they want you to believe that you're being watched. And sometimes you may be, because the narcissist is sitting right in there wherever you are. They're sitting there, and they're cowards. They don't want, they'll pay someone, just to be in the presence of you and know, what are you doing? Because I set you up so you can unalive yourself. I set you up so you could do some harm to somebody else. So the curiosity of them, they got to be there. They got to be in a vicinity where you are, because they're not understanding, because they're thinking, how are you surviving? And that's how you know who's causing the targeting. They want to be where you are, and they know they can't. Because I'm, I don't know. I ain't saying I might be Clarissa Shields on them, but they know that's a boundary, that they know they done stuff. And I'll just send somebody over there. They want to believe that they have all the power, especially when it comes to your life, because they're still trying to figure you out. Why did you still survive? And it's not something that I need to tell them. because I'm saying the same thing about them. What is it in you that feel that you need to be envious at a malicious intent? That you had your flying monkeys um, trying to keep up with me, and those kind of things. But I live according to the Most High Yahweh, and when people try to misuse me or the system, that's where I go with them. I let them believe what have you, just to understand what is this, what you doing here, and they're all about trying to get a reaction out of you, um, and some of us like me, I can sense it. Yep, they want a reaction, and nope, they ain't getting it. Especially depending if I'm at work. Um, they love to come to my job. I don't know where they at, but they want to be heard, and they thought that I was afraid of them, and I never was. Um, you know, with people, it's just a hatred that they have towards righteous people. They don't want to see them do better, and they want to see, will you do better? Because now I can play like, oh, I was rooting for you when you start doing better. I was rooting for you, and I was wanting, that everything is going good for you. So now I want to flip up and want to do right by you, because they're all about the one kick one over just to get up in life. They'll play like they're you. I've had people try to identity swap me, try to get, that's why, those who've been targeted, that a lot of times I probably saying why my suitcase was stolen so many times is because they're wanting to play like they're me. You know what I mean? Using my clothing, even had, I believe, in one of my rooms, somebody came in there and took my sweatshirt that I had just bought. They entered in my room of a hotel, I won't say, and took my sweatshirt. And it was kind of cold out there. You know? And, they're wanting to be you. For one, you're saying, why would they want to be you? You know what I'm saying? You homeless. Well, they know that I'm not willing to do, first of all, they're trying to play like I'm with them and I don't know them. I haven't seen most of these people in years. When I say years, I'm talking about 16, 17, even 20 or more years. I don't really keep up with my past. I'm like kind of in and out, but when it comes to like old coworkers and old people from school or something like that, nope, I don't keep up with them like that. And that's what they are. They just found a way to try to just try to be a part of my life. They did not want me to be here. They were more of trying to take me out. They just said, okay, we're just gonna, and you'll find that in targeting. They'll say, you know, especially that's how you kind of know it's a family member. They're not wanting it to go on as long. You know what I mean? They're saying, I just want to get it quick, done and over with. And because they don't want to keep doing, the harsh things to you. So that's where my targeting was harsh, you know. And so they want to travel. I call it aggravated stalking, because I wasn't willing to give up in my old hometown. So they aggravatedly stalked me all the way here to Georgia. And that was a better thing, you know. When you're talking is that hard, it is a better thing to move because now you can see who's down here. You know what I mean? Who was a part of my targeting? And when you have a narcissist that try to throw different people from your hometown, or they go looking in Facebook to try to find people, old lovers and things like that, it makes you wonder, like, okay, so that's all you want to know, you know, because they want to build some kind of dirt on your name some way. Um, they're basically trying to dirty up your name, even, you know, with law activity, criminal activity, dirty up your name so you won't work and you'll just turn to doing drug trafficking or sex, because that's what they were looking for me. You know, either sell drugs. Listen, ain't nobody giving you no job, you know. So you either sell drugs or you know, your body. So that's why they're trying to cause all kinds of things and trouble with law enforcement, because they're dirtying up your name to say, hey, there's no other way but to come with us, because you're dealing with people who only care about themselves, and they barely do that. They're wanting to sell drugs or sleep with you. You know, there's no other way out of this than to have sex. And that's why the Most High told me, well, before, the only way I'm going to help you is if, you get delivered, that you're not to have sex anymore. If you don't get married, you're not having sex. None. And so, that's what the Most High told me. And I didn't know. One time I was just fasting, and I just felt like, I don't need to fast. I've said this before, and the Most High told me, if you don't get back on your fast, you're gonna die. And I said, did I just hear that right? Because I never heard the Most High say anything like that to me. And so I hurried up and got back on my fast. And now I see why. When someone's trying to put you in something, if you follow the laws and commandments of Christ, they can't get you on those things, because they're watching everything you're doing. And for that first part, they're trying to see what kind of men are coming in or what have you. And when you said, I'm celibate, you're not seeing people coming to my home. You're not hearing, they can't grab that guy and say, hey, we saw you with that woman. Now you got to work with us. See, they look for other people to throw into their occult, because that's what I call it, an occult. And that's where you got to use wisdom, you know. And so you're dealing with people who are lying and say, yeah, I know her. I'm her cousin. I'm her sister. I'm a this. And they don't do nothing to help. Their whole intent was malicious. They didn't want to see me survive. And when you just pick up and leave, they're in a whole nother environment. They can't just do what they want to do. And when I decided, I'm not gonna keep running here, they'll throw in there, in the satanic gadgets devices. Why don't you go to New York? The only reason they're saying go to New York is because they got people up there, or they have set something up there. And it's just a never. Whenever they're telling you to go somewhere, don't. It's just they got people up there, and they already, they may got into it with the ones that they're, that's in their cult, and they want to separate and run this the way they want to run it. You ain't doing it right. You ain't gang stalking her right. Let me take her. You know. So you're dealing with people who want to hurt people, and they're still trying to figure out how. They know that they done some stuff. They've been identified, and they're still trying to find a way to make this happen. Misusing a person that I already know about gangs. I mean, what I need to know. Let's just say that. What I need to know about gang stalking. And I only know some. I don't know everything there is to know about gang stalking. Because it's about the person who's targeting you. That's why it's important to know who they are. Because you say, oh, they would do that. Let's do this. It helps you move around how they think. Or you know what I mean? Like when I come to get a room, you know, um, they will, the holidays been a little bit easier on me. Why? Because the narcissists, that's their time to be up in people's face. They want to be up in people's face and lie. They want to put away this is the time they want to put away the gang stalker. They want to go and see people from family members that they ain't seen, or go do things, go on cruises. They want to do things like that, just to be in people's face. And so you're saying, okay, so now I see who be running it, because when they ain't here, you can tell, you know. They just wanted me to be out the way so I don't go get one of those lavish rooms for myself, because they trying to be like me. See, nobody knew what I knew and what I did. Even as a homeless person, I still take time to get me a nice room to myself. And they don't want the conflict like that. You know what I mean? They don't watch me, and they don't duplicated me, and they like how Tanya lives. You know what I mean? And all they had to do was watch my channel. But they're still trying to figure it out, because they never had that. Some of them never had just going outside of the city. And then they said, well, I think I'm better than Tanya, you know? So that's where you have people just taking my clothing and doing things, and trying to wear their hair like mine or whatever. Or then in the satanic getting devices, they'll say, you know what, why don't you wear a lace front? You should wear a lace front. And then that's when I'll be thinking like, yep, I should wear a lace front. What I want, some a 20-inch weave, or you know what I mean? You know, cause these people, they're wanting to be seen, seen in a whole nother light, like a celebrity. But you're the salt of the earth, and so you're aware, but you're saying, I'm still gonna do what I want to do. You know, they just keep trying to push the envelope on the target, and and you start to think, are they bipolar? But you don't realize you got a lot of people, a group, a cult. Every now and then they have their say so. They want to talk to the target, so they're never on the same path with what was said. Because one will say, let's go to New York. Let's go to New York. We can meet someone there. Or, remember, you used to mess with so and so there. Or they don't know. They just say stuff, and then we wait about an hour, and then somebody say, "Why don't we go to California? Let's go to California." You know, let's go to California. The vibes there, and you know, they just will say those things, and You're wondering why they keep trying to push me to go to these different places. And it's just that things are coming down on them. You know, when you're in the city for 2 years, and I advise you to do that if you can, you know. So people can get, you know, the gist of who this person is. You know, I can't see them. You know, they got people to hide, you know, that they pay to hide when I come out, hide when I go there. And so when the state's paying these people, you're wondering what's going on, you know. And it's just that they don't want to be identified. You know, they lie all the time. And people say, wait a minute, I thought you said this was going here. And that was going there. And they lie so much they forget who they lied to. So that's what I'm trying to let them see, the people I gotta come in contact with every day. And that's where people stop doing what the narcissists do. Because they see that they're gonna keep on lying and lying and lying. And and they mess up because when they follow me where I'm at, they don't expect. Their whole goal was like, okay, once we get her out of Atlanta, you know, we going for the kill. That's what they do. And so when they realize they gotta face the same people again when they didn't get the kill in, that's where they gotta face judgment. Because they done stepped on some people. They done lied, they done used some people. So they figure we're not gonna see them again. And when they have to face them, then they say, yep, you lied. You lied. And so they it gives the person that has to deal with me the opportunity to see what I have to deal with. And it's people that are prideful and for whatever I knew of them, I don't. It just shows me I never knew you. Yeah, or that time that I was sitting there and I was turning around, and I said, I think they doing me wrong. They doing me wrong, but I can't prove it. And then that's when it's like, yep, they was doing me wrong. They was doing me wrong. And you gotta go back to saying, that I don't know if part of their clause is to get people to believe that we're friends or something like that, or they're trying to get people to believe that we're friends, that I'm okay with people just screwing up my whole life, me separated from my kids so they can sell drugs. They're trying to get people to believe that this is something that I wanted to do. And that's why you have to talk to people. You can't just leave things alone. You got to talk to people, because when you're talking to people, watch their face expressions and hear what they're saying. Because by me talking to people, I done showed that the person who keep running up to you telling lies is lying. I'm consistent. I'll stay on my word. What I'm saying is what I'm saying. You know, if I for a chance say, I can't make it somewhere, then I just say that or whatever. But the narcissist like playing this game, and it's with your life. It's with your life. And they're all about selling the drugs. Selling the drugs, seeing what they can get out of people and how they think they can fool people. Some of them are obviously come from college and they like the sorority life. That's where the hazing comes in. And you know, they can't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm saying always get, if you can get whatever kind of job you choose to, but you got to be on it. But when you get like a job like cleaning or something, you'll see The narcissists can't hang. They don't. They think they're too good to do stuff like that. If it's a higher frequency narcissist, the malicious ones, nope. They don't believe that they should do those kind of things, and then they'll try to get on there and talk to you about it. Like, why are you doing these things? Are you a mammy? Are you, And I said, well, I mean, I choose to do things. I'm working. I'm not getting paid by the state. I'm not paid to try to harass and hate on somebody's life. So yeah, I'll clean. I'll do some things. That's legit and legal before I hang with you, because they're wanting me to hang with them for all of a sudden. I'm trying to figure out. Now wait a minute, you've been hating on me, caused me to lose my kids, and you want me to hang with you? And I said, I think they must be on meth or something. Some of them seem, disoriented, when they get on that, the ones and the twos, and they think that they can sway the target their way, and that's all they do all day, trying to put stuff in your head, and that's how I tell you to deal with that. Everything's a lie. Everything you're dealing with someone with a lying spirit, the spirit of pride, and I can I can make her be a sex slave or whatever they're trying to do with me. I don't know. I can make her be around so we can sell these drugs, you know. And that's where the older person, the older person, they know about that. And so that's where I'm saying, because they think you don't know. And when you realize you doing all this just to sell drugs, because it's illegal to sell drugs, even if I was a targeted individual, you can't sell drugs. It's just illegal. And that's the narcissists want to do what they want to do. And that's where you're dealing with the women in there that's saying, what, you need to, they want to take your stuff away, if you start looking cute, they want to start doing things, and that's where you say, oh, because that's where they do. The men start siding with the target and say, oh, she looking good, and then the narcissist ain't never taken, the female narcissist is not, oh no, I look better than her, this, that. So you got the male narcissist and the female narcissist, going at it. And that's where you see things happening to you that you're not knowing why. And it's they have these disagreements on things. And when they do, that's where they come to the target. You know what I mean? They're trying to reason and say, it's just better that you just, be with us. And we already know what it could be to be with someone that has done all these evil things. They've done evil, even back where we were, the places that I was staying, in other cities and states. I don't forget that. If I'm not trying to be with my children, then some things you don't know who's listening. So some things you got to make it a reality, especially when they're trying to make you schizophrenic. You have to be reasonable. You got to say, well, why would I hang with you when I don't have my children? So that's not something a schizophrenic can figure out. Why would I drive all? Why would I be all the way in New York without my kids. My kids are right here. See, schizophrenic people will never do that. So that's one way of clearing you, you know. Schizophrenics just up and go, they don't care. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping I just leave my kids behind and just start on a whole new life. And I already know that I gotta go to court and that my whole thing is about getting custody of my kids. And so that's where you're wondering why, they're not always on code when they're talking. And they're not liking being in the same town all the time with no control. When they start saying, "Hey, you need to move out," that means hard times are coming to them. They maybe they got into an argument with them, or they can't find girls or guys to get with. That's when they want to get with the target, and the target say, "No, no, we sanctified and saved as Christians." You know, my body is for Christ right now. You know, it's for Christ. If God has ordained husband, then that's where it'll be. But right now, God is my covering. So, someone, they don't believe that I'm really taking my walk serious. And that's where I have to remind them, well, I'm with Christ. And so, you have to be, it's kind of like a hostage situation, the targeting. You're dealing with some delusional people and you're trying to survive. So you're just saying things. Um, you have to say things. Now, if I leave, then I will leave my kids behind. You got to kind of do those things because you don't know really what's, all the years of being separated from this people or person or group of people. You're wondering, why are you doing this? You know, you don't know their mind state. I don't know their mind state. What keeps them going and thinking that they can win in this? There's no win in evil. If somebody does not want to be with you or around you, then you have to understand that. You have to respect boundaries. And these are the people that don't. When you come from a small town, they believe it's easy to taint the public. I can get everybody on my side because that's kind of what they was doing. You know people, because I know a lot of people in my old hometown, but I don't know what they've been up to. You know what I mean? And, I'm not caring because I don't care about really not too many people there. I care about my old friend, my friend Tanitra. What's good, Tanitra from Destiny Child? I care about her. I don't care about the rest of them. I care about brothers and sisters. Ones I went to school with. They doing good things in their life. I won't mention their names, but I mentioned Tanitra. You know, and I'm just saying, Tanitra, I helped you out, sis. I helped you out, but I'm good with them. Before I had left for for Ohio, I ran into the one I used to hang out with, her sister, and they on good terms, and just making sure they was all right. So you know they they just was like they kind of at where I was kind of at. You know what I mean? Where I'm at now. Like, I don't really want to talk to people, but, But then when they heard what I was talking about, their whole demeanor changed. Like, no, 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 I'm talking. I wasn't targeted then or nothing, but it just, it's one of the few people, the last people I seen before I left. And, you know, they just, stay up, stay up. You stay up. I said, I stay up. You know what I mean? That's where I come from, you know. But you got people who believe that, if you made it, you got to take care of me. Or if you made it, I need to know everybody you know. And I think they would have done her like that. I really think they would have done her like that. And she took a clue and just left. If you hear me, Tanisha, stay the hell away from Rockford. Don't go back. And her sisters and cousins, y'all know who y'all is. So, brothers and sisters. So, you know what I mean? And so, by me coming back, it was like, okay, so what we doing here? Nobody really was seeing me. Nobody was really seeing me. When I was talking to guys, there was more of a sexual thing. And some of them used to date my sister, and that's where I was offended. Like, wow, you know what I mean? My sister passed. So I'm just like, okay, but I ain't okay. So this game that people play, and they keep thinking that they're gonna get over on you with this, and um, you know they think they're gonna get over on you with this, and the Most High put me in this place just for that reason. He put me in this place just for that reason, to make sure people understand, God's authority here, and so people, um, you know, especially from small towns, don't really have what bigger cities. That's why I like running with bigger cities. And I couldn't understand them. I asked my mama, why did you move here? When I was a kid, and I'm gonna be funny. When I was a kid, I used to be sitting there watching Nickelodeon, and they'd be like, Nickelodeon is coming to your town. And I'd be like, oh, we going in this, because I said, y'all gonna take me. And I sit here and I say, okay, Chicago, because I'm from Chicago. I don't be even seeing that. Like, wait a minute, Atlanta, Orlando, why they don't come here? Somewhere we can go without, you know what I mean? They never come to our town. I'd be mad. And that's where I be saying, why you move this small town, mama? Why we move here? I don't like small towns, and you know what I mean? Now that it's not like it used to be. I mean, the small towns used to be, hey, where you going? Ain't you so and so's daughter? You need to get home. You know what I mean? And then I be like, but ma'am, hey, go home. Go home. I'm gonna tell them too that I saw you out here. And I'll be like, what? You know what I mean? That's how our town used to be. Everybody kind of knew everybody. And so you're saying, especially when it comes to my family, we all kind of resemble each other. In a way, some of them, I'm talking about my immediate, my grandma and them, kind of look alike. And so, especially when I go working places, they like, aren't you so-and-so's daughter? And I was like, nope. And you can see that I look like my dad. And so, you're like, But I never really like small towns, because they feel that they're entitled to your life, to your business. And that's what you have here. You got people who are wanting to kill out of you. They wanted to try this thing out, the gang stalking out, and just to see how far it'll go, what they can get out of it. and what um how they can manipulate people. A lot of them, they don't have it. They don't have money. That's all I see for those odd number of years that I never seen them, that they didn't do much with their life. And some of them went to college, and I'm saying, dang, you got caught up in drug activity? Wow. So, you know, I was the one, I was the flunky. I thought I was going to be caught up, because that's how they looked at me. They thought I was going to be caught up in drug activity or have multiple babies. I ain't do none of that, praise the Lord. You know what I mean? In fact, when I was coming, I was one of the few that had kids, you know, and people used to make fun of me for that. Like, what's going on? Why you ain't had no children? That's why I try to gravitate to the younger women, because, people would make fun of me like, oh, about time you have kids, you're going to be a granny. And I would educate them and say, well, if I have kids, that will be my business, what's the point? And I try to, you know, put that dig in there. What's the point of having kids if you don't have the father around? Because a lot of them didn't. You be asking people like me to babysit for you and things like put my life on hold. When they be trying to go there like that, I go there like this. I ain't nothing holding me back, and I make sure ain't nothing holding me back. I can go to any party. If a guy want to take me on a date, I ain't got nothing holding me back. But you got to find somebody to watch your kid. Or are you bringing the kid with you? They used to try to hate on me because I didn't have babies by this one and that one. Oh, no. I knew my womb was sacred. And, no, I just let my partying days go. I liked it. I could just go and do what I want to do, you know. And when I say when I want to do, it was clean. It wasn't like what most people would do. It was no drug activities, no. I had my drinking now. I had my drinking, but I was just, the regular girl that say, I kick back and have fun. And they didn't like that. They didn't like, yeah. I could just do what I want to do. And so anyway, the salt of the earth. Now that I'm saved, you can look past other things and say, do what's right. That's what the Most High will give to me to do. Just do what's right. Never mind what they're saying, and even though sometimes they're trying to degrade you. God is saying, just do what's right. Never mind them. So when the Lord kicks in His voice, then I know that He's really gonna bless me for dealing with this kind of person here. And they're still here. They're still trying to work out and keep it where I don't go to my lavish hotel, because sometimes I like to go there. They want to keep me in this broke down in motel. They're still trying to live life right. They got other people trying to babysit me. That's what your targeting is. They still keep trying to live these fancy trips and but they don't want me to come along. I don't want to come along with them because I don't know them like that. That's one thing I try to make clear. I don't know them, and they keep trying to misuse my name to get stuff, and try to make it look like I'm schizophrenic. I'm just on along the side of the road just for no reason. That's how they get by. by the narcissist by telling their story. And when you don't say nothing, um, you know, they just people just have nothing else to feed off on. But when with me, I don't let them get away. I tell people who I have to come in contact with, what's really going on. But some people I don't know who they talk to. So, but when I talk to people, um, things somewhat let up because I'm not letting just a narcissist say any kind of lie to the people. I'm actually communicating with them and showing them this is who I am because I know that there's people out here who keep trying to be like me, and so they can don't get confused. This is me, and whoever that is, that's them. Because I don't know what fully goes on with everything, but I make sure I show who I am in this, and for whatever reason, they they just want to be amongst me. They just want to keep talking to me, and I don't have a clue of who they are. Some of them are family members, and I thought they were dead. So, um, I'm trying to figure out why are you here? Because you didn't do nothing to help me. You still trying to live off the system and think I'm supposed to be good because I survived. I'm good, but I don't want anything to do with you because you're the hindrance in me getting my kids back and having my life. And they're not the narcissist ain't understanding that, because somebody done told them something else. And they just keep thinking they can sneak in and out and pay people to watch, see where I'm at. But, I don't know them, so anybody doing that, they pretty much committing a crime. You're not supposed to stalk anybody, you know. Aggravatedly stalking someone, you're pretty much enabling a narcissist. And they just keep on trying to, talk to the people. And that's what they do. They love talking to the people, but it's mostly lies and slander. And when you're the salt of the earth, you're still preserved. That's what the salt does. Back in the day with meat, that's how they used to cure the meat with salt. And when you have the salt, that cures the meat, that keeps everything together. That's you, the one that's being targeted. You're the salt. You keep it together. They're saying that, I don't know if this person is mentally ill that's trying to target me, because this ain't gonna never work. They ain't gonna never be able to do whatever they're trying to do illegal and make it a reality. And and that's just what they are. They keep saying that I'm somebody's sister. I don't know, because my sister's dead. So if you my sister, how come you talking to me? Because my sisters are dead. Um, so when you have that, you just say, what are they up to? You know what I mean? That's where I have to go out there and start saying things so people can relax. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, they want to keep this charades going on, even though I'm aware of the targeting. Other people are aware of the targeting, and people are laughing like, when are they going to actually go away? They try to make it as a scenario of kind of like what would you do? It used to be a TV show called What Would You Do? They're scamming. They're really gang stalkers, nothing but scam artists. They're trying to thrive off the little money that the government has given them, and they can't. They can't thrive off of that. And so, when they do little things and little stunts just to get the hustle on. And when they can't get the hustle on, that's where things go, you would say things ain't great with the targeting. But I've seen just about everything they could possibly do. And it's mostly just doing dumb things at my job and try to normalize and say, see, you know, if I go in there, after I get through cleaning, come back an hour and see that every toilet is full of urine and unflushed, they'll try to say, well, everybody had to come in there and do that. You know, no, they're wanting you to pay attention to it because they did that. They did that. You know what I mean? And so they want some form of credit for that kind of stuff. Um, it's just, um, saying, so you did, you urined in every stall and didn't flush. And they ain't understanding that I'm saying you're nasty, you know. You're a nasty person. And you're a female. And they want you to believe that everybody came in here and did this. The agency is there. That's all it says. The agency is still there. And they still trying to thrive and misuse me because they were wanting to kill. They were wanting that kill, and now they realize that if they have the agency, they can't do gang stalking like they really want to do. When the person is aware, it's like, you can't do that. And they still keep trying to hold on to it. The longer you stay, the more it's like, okay, you can pretty much peep what's going to be going on today, even down to their manuscript, what they're going to be saying, you know, um, you know, what did they say last month? What did they say this time around last year? Or what did they do? They got a manuscript out there on how to screw up your life. And that's what I was needing. But when you went through the whole 12 months, you can see, okay, they're after this. They're after that. You know what I mean? And, they'll switch it up a bit just to kind of get some more of their gang stalker friends down here. See, when I never got that storage unit, um, it keeps some of them up there. Whoever was in charge of the storage unit couldn't come down here, and do the storage unit because they were saying, I want to get the hustle in. I want to get the hustle in. And they said, well, she has not got a storage unit in. So that's how they do. When you go move, the same people that they had down here let's say they're all down here in Atlanta, right? I'm down here in Atlanta. Let's say I did move to New York. They're going to bring the same people to do the same things that they were doing. So if they were responsible for doing things on your job, those are the people going to go to New York. They're responsible for doing things in a hotel. Those people going to go to New York too. That's how it goes. And it's usually the family members, but because they want the first dibs on stuff. They want to be able to do what they want to do and cherry pick. And so that's why you wonder why the same thing happening. That's because wherever you go, they gonna go. They want to keep messing up your mind, but that's how they get paid. They want to keep moving with the target so they can keep getting the funds from the state or wherever it is, because they'll switch it up. City, state government, local official, and that's where you see them following you. That's why they have to see what you buy and things to identify you so they can get other people that's in New York. Now they got a whole cast of people who don't know nothing about targeting. And they don't even know they doing wrong. Hey, just put on this color coding shirt and just walk around here. That's all you got to do. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. And that's how they get paid and keep that going. You know what I mean? So when you move and you're saying, "Why I see the color coding?" Because that's what they do. They're trying to make sure they impound in your head that you was targeted, and it's just an agency that 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 person has trying to keep things going. And that's why certain things, I'm realizing, okay, well, we won't get a storage unit. So Tany's, go back to Rockford, Illinois. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll put some names out there because it's people I don't even care about or know. And they just keep trying to hustle or act like they got this kind of thug mentality. Take your butt back home. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And yeah, I shot them out. And that's what they got scared about, my channel. Tanya gonna shout them out because you got to go. You know? They don't want to go work. They don't want to submit to a husband. Some of them, a husband will never go 6 feet close to you. So, that's what I'm saying. That you be the salt of the earth. Don't let anybody shake you and move you off of anything. Um, targeting isn't real, but it is real with me. You know what I mean? It's just someone with a malicious intent. They saw that Tanya was doing something for herself, and they didn't like that. The envy and the jealousy and the hatred in them did not like it. Not her. Yeah, her. Why not me? I work hard. I serve the Most High. Why come I can't live a good, lavish life? And it hurts them. It hurts them that they they thought they was something in life, and then they gotta see Tanya boss up on them. You know what I mean? Because they keep saying, you're this, you're that. We're just doing this and telling all the people, oh, we're just trying things out. Oh, this is a hoax. You're trying to work and you got somebody saying this is a hoax. There ain't no hoax. It's someone trying to take you out or make you provoke you. And they keep trying to play these mind games with the regular citizens and people of this country and state. They keep thinking that they can dominate them with this game stalking just because they got many and just because they found a way to get a loophole around the system. They keep trying to hide and still run that agency that's broke. That's why it's important that they try to do what you do. So, well, guess what? I ain't eating today. A lot of them, they come down here for them city vouchers. So we ain't gonna be no city voucher today. We ain't eating. You know what? Maybe I won't eat for 40 days. I don't know. That'll bring up all of them to get the hell up out of here. That's what you gotta understand. Are you doing what I'm doing? Because Tanya love to turn down her plate. Can't nobody go without eating the dicks. I be moving around. I don't be trying to. I do. I have a lot of things I have to do. And a lot of times when I can, I'm going to sleep. That's why I showed that video, my short, to say, hey, I'm gone. I'm going to sleep. Rest is more important to me than eating. But, yeah, you got to take care of yourself and stuff like that. But, you come down here to eat and everything, you got the wrong target. This target eats very little. You know, she drink a cup of coffee and be good. You know what I mean? Drink water through the day. You won't have that mentality. Yeah, you're gonna be going back home crying for food. And that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, so live your life. Don't let no one change you. If you were a giver, give. And you know, those things that's here that's trying to hide underneath you and be you, you know, the Most High will deal with them. Their judgment is coming. So I pray for people. I pray people get their will. And I'm going to pray offline today. So may the good Lord be with you. May the healing be with you. God bless you.